There's an oil short coming up that could pump these other markets. Guys, this is the daily entry. I'm bringing you day trading setups on things like the NASDAQ, Dow, oil, gold, and of course, BTC. Let's go. Now, we know there's a lot of news floating around at the moment in the markets, including the war situation, but there's a little spanner in the works here. We could get a sentiment shift as well with Google and Apple earnings coming in later. So something to watch, something to pay attention to when we do get these earnings results later on. Now, in terms of that 𝗬𝗵𝗹𝗃 comp that I've been trading in, I've managed to get it to 214%. The competition ends today, but we'll make sure we have another comp loaded up for you guys soon, and you can trade these daily entry setups. So I've just been grinding it out here, coming third at the moment, but pretty happy with the results. Just sticking to 1-to-1, 2-to-1 moves here. Nothing too fancy, guys. Keeping it simple. Sometimes the boring stuff is the stuff that really does work out. Now, what are the rules of engagement here for our trades? Reminder: 2-to-1, 1-to-1 trades. If you get an absolute screamer, maybe leave a portion running. Obviously, don't get married to positions. Cut the losers early. I'm running very tight stops as well. Don't overtrade. If today is not going your way, stop. Come back tomorrow. I'm here every single day dishing out absolute bangers for you guys. Let's talk about the big short. Okay, oil has finally moved into this major macro rejection zone that I've been covering during the course of the week, and this is a major marker for us in terms of the fact that if we get an oil rejection, it can help these other markets push higher. So this is obviously a big one to watch. You don't necessarily have to short oil at these zones if you're feeling unsure about it, but what it can be is your guide for where to possibly engage long, for example, on some of these other markets. So in terms of what I'm doing now, oil has pushed into this monster undercarriage that I covered last week. Look at that, bang, bang. And there is a 0.5 fib. We've got a VWAP from the highs. We got the 100-day MA. So it's a high probability rejection zone, number one, that I am interested in. Now, in terms of our oscillator, look at this. The 4-hour is showing possible divergence coming here. If we get a sharp dip now on oil in the next hour or two, you're going to see a bearish divergence print on oil. So that is going to be interesting to watch, and that could drive us down into these types of levels. So right now I am sitting in a short position on oil, tight stop. I'm going to show you that position in a couple of minutes. Now, what if oil explodes today? What if there is another further headline here causing drama? Where's the next region that we could possibly get a bounce on the other markets? Because if oil's pumping, we're possibly dropping on these other markets. This is going to be the zone, guys. This is what you want to keep your eyes on. 94 into 97 looking like the next big rejection zone for oil. Okay, so keep that in mind. Keep this chart obviously up there with you guys. Reminder, all of these charts you see here, they go into the Chart Hackers Discord for you guys. I drop updates during the course of the day. If levels change, let's say for example we have a pump or a dump, I reassess the levels and I give you new trade zones during the course of the day, all happening in the Chart Hackers Discord. Just click on the show description, click on more there, and you will see the Chart Hackers Discord sitting there waiting for you guys. Okay, let's get into the next big one here, and this has got to be the Dow. Also, a super interesting one at the moment. You can see it's kind of floating in no man's land while we wait for maybe a big move on oil. And you can see currently, if oil gets that rejection, you might find this Dow starts pushing up today into our short zone. So 52,450 looking like the big short zone here for me on this chart. I've highlighted here, I've said here unclear. And the reason being is I've got multiple wicks that aren't quite agreeing with each other. So I'm going to show you on 𝗬𝗵𝗃 how I've managed my sell order for the short in that zone in a couple of seconds. If the Dow drops today, where's the most high percentage setup that I can see in this current mini range? It's looking like this region here. You can see my alarm is on at the moment. Looking for longs, 51,900, looking pretty interesting to me. So this is how I've set it up here on the Dow. You can see my current short higher up there, 52,449, and you can see my long on 𝗬𝗵𝗃 here, 51,942. That blue line is the tight stop that I'm running for that long position. So not trying to get too aggressive here, and you can see I'm in a small oil short at the moment. It is rejecting now at that region, so we are printing a little bit of green here, and maybe this thing is going to play out and give us some action. Remember what to do with oil if it pushes higher. Okay, so there's my Dow sentiment plays at the moment on 𝗬𝗵𝗃. Then in terms of the NAS, also a very interesting one. I am expecting some kind of NAS bounce here, and this might come into play with an oil rejection. So in terms of zones of interest today, let's take out the highs. If you're looking for shorts, 29,240, that looks reasonable to me. Okay, so you want to take out those highs and then get that drop. Alternatively, I think you might have a degen bounce here on the NAS, 28,800. Look at this, our local VWAP, 382, some horizontals coming into play. So 28,800. Where's my banger for the day? At the moment, guys, the deeper we go, the better the move. Okay, if we floating around sort of middle zones and things like that, they're not as exciting. If you get an extreme move up or an extreme move down, that's typically where the bangers are sitting. So the deeper the better. Longs for NAS, 28,585 looks good to me in that type of area. If that zone fails, or if we do drop lower in, look at this banger, look at this wick that was left behind last week. That's where we're getting long. I think that is going to be the major mover of the day if we drop into that zone. So 28,270 looking pretty good for me on that one. Let's talk gold. Gold is turning bearish on the 2 hour. It did give us a nice little 2-to-1 short yesterday that hopefully some of you managed to scalp, but now it is turning bearish on the 2 hour, and you can see at the moment this is going to be your current war zone. So the tighter you can get it, the better. You might find with this oil dip, gold does play a few games, maybe pushes up, something along those lines. So just look out for some kind of drama here from gold. But as the way I see it at the moment is, we've had our initial rejection. I'd say 4,130 into 4,140. You can get away with a super tight stop here on gold. That bearish divergence is in your favor at the moment, okay? If it screams higher, where you're looking, I would say do nothing until it hits about 4,200. That's the next reasonable short zone for gold. Now, what do we do if it starts dropping? Guys, I think there's two zones of interest here that you're going to look for on lower time frame oscillator reversals. 4,050 and 4,000. Those are the degen long bounces for today. We're looking for little reactions there on gold. Okay, let's talk about the big dog here, BTC, letting me down yesterday. I had my limit sell orders waiting on the Chart Hackers live trading yesterday, and unfortunately we missed that. So if you guys want to trade on or you want to trade live with me, come to the Chart Hackers YouTube channel pretty much daily. You can see a link over here for the Chart Hackers YouTube. Just click this link, that'll direct you into the live trading. And in fact, by the time you watch this video, we are going to be live slightly earlier today, live trading the pre-market session there, so you can catch us on the Chart Hackers YouTube. Now, in terms of BTC, where's the short? I think we leave our short opportunity 67.3 with a stop at around 68.100. That looks reasonable for me. Why does that look reasonable? Well, look at this. There's our macro 382 coming into play. It's untapped. I do believe we can have a second bite at that zone. If you look at these wicks, they haven't been dealt with. Untapped. We want to sweep the wicks and then drop this thing down. So I still think that short opportunity is valid. On the daily time frame, if things drop, where's the big zone? Look at this, 63k. That's the banger. 50-day VWAP, wick fill, 382 trend, horizontal, call it whatever you need in that zone. There's some pretty big support on Bitcoin there, and that is also tied into our hackers dashboard where we're carrying the CoinGlass liquidation heat map. Look at that, 63k. There's a lot of liquidity in that zone. Okay, so look out there. Those are the lows. So in terms of plays for today, degen bounces, 65k, look for a degen bounce. Degen bounce, 64k, look for a degen bounce. They might be very short-lived. Where's the high conviction long? It's got to be this visit into this 50-day MA, VWAP, wick fill, horizontal. You know what's going down there. So everything from 63.100 into 62.5. That is my long for today, and we'll hopefully be trading one of these live on the Chart Hackers YouTube during the course of the afternoon. Okay, so guys, there's your daily entry. Be safe out there. Keep it tight. And Chart Hackers YouTube, here it is. Okay, you'll catch it over there. See you guys later.